So it's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much.
Blake Lively used to be a bright and charming star, always showing up on red carpets and magazine covers. People admired her style and found her relatable. But that carefully managed image started to fall apart when a bunch of accusations appeared about her role in adapting a best-selling novel called It Ends With Us. This movie, directed and co-written by Justin Baldoni, was supposed to be an uplifting project. But behind the scenes, arguments turned into controversies involving text messages, counterclaims, and big surprises. It all reached a peak when Blake's own lawyer decided to stop representing her, and not only quit, but also revealed why. According to the attorney, Blake went to great lengths to make Justin look bad, and now the truth is coming out. This shocking move by her lawyer raised alarms throughout Hollywood. It's very rare for a top lawyer to cut ties with a celebrity under such conditions, especially while hinting at ethical problems with their client. After all, Blake had always seemed friendly, lighthearted, and even self-deprecating in front of the camera. Hardly anyone guessed she could be at the center of a scandal so serious that her attorney couldn't keep working with her. Yet here we are, watching her reputation crumble in a way more dramatic than anything she's acted out on screen. The trouble started pretty innocently. It Ends With Us, which already had a passionate following, looked like it would make a powerful, visually striking movie. Justin Baldoni brought star power and a big vision for directing. The project seemed set to tug at audiences' emotions. When Blake joined the cast, excitement grew, because people assumed her fame would bring even more attention. On the surface, both actors talked positively about teaming up, even though they came from somewhat different corners of show business. Justin had made a name for himself focusing on empathy, optimism, and heartfelt stories, while Blake was often praised for her dazzling public appearances and lively media presence. At first, it seemed everything was going well, but then cracks started to show. Rumors on set hinted that Blake felt overshadowed by Justin, who was not only directing and co-writing, but also acting in the movie. That naturally put him front and center. Early gossip suggested she thought he was steering too many creative decisions her way. In private, she allegedly complained that he was shaping a media storyline that made her seem less important. Whispers like that found their way to the tabloids, and fans started noticing subtle signs, strained or cold remarks in interviews.
I think most actors' dream is to be able to do a period piece film, but I got to do an every period piece film because this dates back to 1908 till now. So to explore the different decades, the fashion, the hair and makeup, and just how women were treated in each of those different eras.
Quick changes of subject whenever Justin's work came up, and tense looks in behind-the-scenes footage. As the tension grew, Blake said she was the victim of a planned smear campaign in the press. She claimed Justin was the mastermind behind these rumors. At first, people believed her. Hollywood is known for its shifting alliances and strategic leaks, so it's not crazy to think a star might become a target if there were on-set conflicts. A lot of folks gave Blake the benefit of the doubt, pointing out how leading actresses often face extra scrutiny that their male counterparts don't. But while some people took Blake's side, others discovered evidence that made the situation more complicated. Screenshots of text messages started showing up, usually shared by people close to Justin. These messages painted a different story. Instead of Justin sidelining Blake, it looked like Blake was the one trying to control major aspects of the production. She bragged about her personal circle of power, which included her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and other influential friends she called her dragons. Several messages hinted that if the team didn't do what she wanted, she'd use her connections to sway decisions about edits, marketing, and even press coverage. It might have all stayed under wraps if the tension hadn't exploded into contradictory accusations. Around that time, rumors said Blake wanted to rewrite the script, veto certain technical decisions, and even change how her co-stars stood or spoke during press events. Producers said they got strongly worded notes suggesting Blake might refuse to promote the movie if she didn't feel heard. The real turning point, though, was when she filed legal claims against the production, accusing them of failing to meet certain on-set requirements, especially around close contact scenes. She also said Justin had insulted her about her body after giving birth. If that were true, it would have made Justin look really bad. Right in the middle of all this, Blake's lawyer made a public statement backing her claims. They shared a series of text messages that were edited, emojis removed, fragments cut and pasted, to show Justin as bossy or not caring about her comfort. Blake's legal approach leaned heavily on these carefully selected texts. But shortly afterward, Justin's team responded with what they said were the full text conversations, which told a different story. In one example, Blake accused Justin of barging into her trailer when she was in a vulnerable state, but Justin's proof showed she had actually invited him in and joked about the timing in a message.
We always tease each other. He was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I can. This is a horrible thing to say. And he's like, I mean, I've got a long list. And I was like, oh, really? Because I just have 1 on my list. I don't have anyone on my list.
And then it wasn't funny anymore.
No, it's so much more of a burn. He's like, wait, who? And I was like, think of someone. Bob Newhart, I don't know.
This huge difference left many people stunned. Then came the bombshell moment when Blake's long-serving attorney, known for helping big Hollywood names with delicate issues, quit the case. It's not unheard of for a lawyer to split from a client, but what shocked everyone was how they did it. Instead of just quietly filing paperwork, the lawyer announced to the public that they had doubts about Blake's honesty. This was practically unheard of. A lawyer publicly suggesting their client wasn't telling the truth. Experts guessed that once the lawyer saw all the texts and heard the witnesses, they realized Blake's story and the evidence didn't match up. The attorney's statement was formal but made the point. They couldn't keep representing a version of events that clashed with solid proof. Later, in more comments to a few journalists, the lawyer mentioned seeing text communications and other materials that caused them to question Blake's narrative. It seemed like maybe Blake had twisted certain events on set to make Justin look bad. This new development went hand in hand with rumors in the press about texts suggesting that Blake exaggerated normal production hassles and turned them into alarming allegations. Once her own lawyer ditched her, the conversation shifted again. Public opinion was already split. Some people believed Blake was being unfairly targeted, while others thought she was intentionally distorting facts. But the lawyer's move made many people rethink their stance. If Blake's own attorney was questioning her story, how could anyone be sure she was being genuine? Social media was flooded with debate. Some fans felt betrayed by what they saw as Blake's lies, and others still defended her, claiming maybe the lawyer had personal reasons for leaving. Meanwhile, this gave Justin a major boost. He had mostly tried to protect his name by sharing text logs and letting them speak for themselves. After the lawyer's statement, he didn't need to do much else. Essentially, Blake's attorney ended up helping Justin's cause. The high-profile departure from Blake's team backed up what insiders were starting to suspect. The deeper you dig, the more Blake's claims fall apart. All of Hollywood was watching closely. Other cast and crew who'd been hesitant to talk now felt freer to share. Some privately said Blake often made a big deal out of small incidents, and later presented them in legal papers or the media in a way that didn't really line up with what actually happened. One production assistant remembered a day when Blake pushed for a scene to be reshot multiple times, apparently for creative reasons. But later, she called that same incident an example of the production ignoring her emotional well-being, a confusing mismatch. On social media, people started picking apart more of Blake's statements. For instance, she said Justin kept asking her questions about her weight and physical condition in a way that made her uncomfortable, but the text showed him asking if certain actions were safe for her because he also had chronic back problems. He was just making sure neither of them would get hurt. He also asked her opinion and offered to change things if she didn't feel safe.
And we went into the audition and he signed in, and then the casting director came out and said, Blake? And Eric said, yep, that's her. And I just thought I was gonna die. And she said, we don't have you on our call sheet. And he said, oh, and he put his agency's name. And so I auditioned, and I didn't know what to say in that moment. I was 16, and my brother had just written my name on a piece of paper, and they were looking at me, so I walked in the room and did the audition.
Nothing in those messages sounded disrespectful. Instead, they came across as caring, like he wanted to respect her limits as a new mom. Another point of conflict was Blake's claim that producer Jamie Heath had shown her a personal video clip she found inappropriate. Jamie's side explained that it was actually a sincere depiction of childbirth, meant to help Blake understand how intense a certain scene might be if the character gave birth. Jamie had apparently asked for her okay before showing it. But Blake told the story differently, acting like it was shown out of nowhere. Again, it seemed like 2 completely different takes on the same event, and many people thought this showed a pattern of Blake turning everyday moments into scandals. What started as a behind-the-scenes issue was now a full-blown media spectacle. The lawyer's departure, with such a dramatic statement, only made it worse. For Blake, the consequences were huge. Producers who had been eager to work with her quietly started backing away, waiting to see how things played out. Even if she still had star appeal, people worried about what might happen behind the scenes. more and more stories came out that seemed to fit the narrative of her blowing minor problems out of proportion. A wardrobe team member said that a small argument over scheduling later got used by Blake as an example of major neglect. On its own, maybe it wouldn't mean much, but added together with everything else, it supported the view that she was twisting everyday hassles into big complaints. This situation also spilled over into Blake's personal life, especially her marriage to Ryan Reynolds. Normally, Ryan is known for his sense of humor on social media and in interviews, but he was unusually quiet as all this drama blew up. Some people reported that he initially backed Blake, but later, after seeing all the texts and hearing more facts, he started questioning her version of events too. He stopped appearing at certain events, and some thought he might be trying to keep his distance from the chaos. Of course, this triggered tabloid rumors about their relationship, but neither Blake nor Ryan made any clear public statements about it. Justin, on the other hand, stayed consistent. He'd share text conversations or confirm facts, but then he'd step back. He said his main goal was just to protect the movie's integrity and defend himself from what he saw as unfounded claims.
I was testing for a show that ended up actually getting picked up and doing very well, and I was one of 2 people maybe, and then I get a call from my managers and my agent. They were both on the line, which means it's something serious.
Right.
Either you got the job or there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And they said, so you were the choice, but the network said that your eyebrows would be too distracting.
Oh, what?
Oh no.
And then they went like, so what can we do about your eyebrows?
In interviews, he rarely called Blake out by name. Instead, he focused on saying he believes in a transparent work environment where everyone feels respected. If he was upset about Blake's accusations, he channeled it into calmly presenting evidence that contradicted her stories. All along, people kept asking, why would Blake risk everything? Her professional relationships, her public image, by making these accusations? The lawyer's parting statement suggested an explanation. Maybe Blake wanted more creative control and influence than her contract actually allowed. According to that theory, building a case against Justin was a tactic to get leverage, so producers would take her side. If that was her plan, it clearly backfired once her own lawyer walked away and basically undermined her entire argument. Things are still far from settled, but one lesson is clear. In today's Hollywood, it's hard to hide the truth when we have text messages and other records showing private conversations. Blake Lively might have hoped to gain control or shape the public story in her favor, but she didn't see how full transcripts, conflicting witness accounts, and a lawyer's ethical standards could work against her. She's now stuck dealing with the damage to her career and possibly legal consequences for what she set in motion. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, who just wanted to make a heartfelt movie, looks like someone who was unfairly targeted, then proven right by the very lawyer who once represented Blake. At this point, the whole situation is one of the strangest Hollywood feuds in recent memory, complete with legal twists, personal fallouts, and the surprising downfall of a star who once seemed untouchable. Blake and Justin's fight might drag on, especially if more legal steps happen or new information comes out. But Blake's biggest blow may not even come from Justin. It may come from her own former attorney, who walked away and hinted that her claims didn't have the solid proof she insisted they did.
A lot of it's my real life clothes or my husband's clothes or my girlfriend Gigi's clothes. I was borrowing some.
Wait, that's kind of amazing. So you have something of Gigi's in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like something old, something borrowed, something blue, something new.
Wait, which
except
one?
it's just,
Now I want to think of the scene.
Oh,
so
I'm wearing her stuff all over it.
Oh, really?
And tons of like Bodhi, which is with the suit now that I'm wearing is Bodhi. It was meant for my husband, but I borrowed
that's
it.
his suit?
It was meant for him to wear, but it's so pretty. Look at it. You guys are not getting it in the shot.
For a star who was previously adored by fans, this is a reminder that in show business, where appearances matter, a reputation can unravel quickly if the facts don't match the story you're telling. If Blake tries to revive her accusations, she'll have to deal with the pushback not only from Justin's team, but also from her old lawyer's pointed warning. If she tries to drop it quietly, questions will still linger, and they might follow her into future projects. Neither choice looks good. Meanwhile, Justin, though he's had to endure a lot of stress, seems to be in a stronger place now, free to move on with his career as the public continues to review all the texts and accounts that back up his side. It could be a while before this is truly resolved. Courts move slowly, and public opinion, though quick to form, can change again if something new happens. But no matter how it ends, Blake Lively's lawyer walking out has already made this story a piece of Hollywood legend. With that single exit, the message is clear. If your version of events doesn't match up with real evidence, even the most beloved celebrity image can fall apart, leaving behind surprises no one saw coming.